Good evening. Hey, sorry, I'm finishing the fruit for my dinner. It's Pastor Mary. I'm very glad to be with you on Tuesday, September 14th. You know, I usually know the date, and then it's like I get on here and I forget what day it is. So anyway, I'm sorry about that. If you think I look a little bit tired, it is because I didn't get as much sleep. I don't normally tell you stuff like this, but we are trying to get our plane tickets to go see family for Thanksgiving, and felt like we need to get them last night. Hey, good evening, Cheryl. Good evening. And I had to wait till after midnight to use a particular card to buy them. So I'm so glad you're on here. How are you? And I need to add, do you know anything more about Danita? I was going to add her to, I don't know if I added her to my prayer list. I was going to add her. I have a really long prayer list tonight. Been collecting all kinds of prayers, but do you know anything more? I know nothing's been put up, and I didn't know how she was doing. My goodness. Okay. So a classmate of ours from high school, Danita, who has MS, correct? She has MS, has not been doing well, and she's just 60. Well, I don't know if she's had her birthday yet. I mean, there's a bunch of us, a bunch of you turned 61 in October, and I turned a year older, since me and Debbie are the oldest of the class, but I can't remember when Debbie's birthday is. Danita, but I know that she's not October, so she's probably already had her birthday, so she's probably already 61. But anyway, yes, Danita is one of the people on the list. I have lots of prayer requests tonight to share, and I will be glad to do that. April, okay. April baby, okay. So she's 61. You're not there yet. How are you doing, by the way? So since I know some of you will watch this later, but Cheryl's the first one on here. We'll see if anybody else. Usually a few people will drift their way in. Cheryl's very good. My friend, my dear friend from Illinois, and she, most nights she shows up on here. Somebody else just joined us. If I have a guess, it might be Bill Gates, because Bill and Kathy are usually on here. Oh, it's Sherry. Good evening, Sherry. So we got Cheryl and Sherry. Now, the other Cheryl is going to Hawaii in a couple days, so I don't know if she'll join. So there, what'd she say, 6 hours, 5 or 6 hours, maybe more than that, because West Coast is 3 hours behind us. So maybe Hawaii's 3 more hours behind them. So she's going to be going there on Thursday. So I don't think she'll be joining us till she gets back from there. But she may check us out online. So, but anyway, okay. Well, as I said, I've had a lot of prayer requests. Some that I've read, some that I've seen online, but lots of need of prayer for a lot of people tonight. So, so let's go ahead and get started. Devotions tonight, I'm doing What Really Matters, Faith, Hope, and Love, Our Daily Bread. I know it's backwards when you all see it. This was given to me at camp this summer that we went to. It was in our gift basket. They give us a gift bag, which is really wonderful. And this is one of the things. There was also a journal in there, and that got me journaling again. I've journaled at different times in my life, and I'm trying to keep up, except for when I was sick several weeks ago. I didn't journal any highlights then, but I try to write down several things I'm thankful for or highlights of every day. So a thankfulness thing today is, I work from home today because the power was off at church. Lynn, our administrative assistant, let me know yesterday, because they're building a Zaxby's right next to our church, and they were doing work, and so the power was going to be off at our building because of what they're doing. Good evening, Laura. So Lynn let me know yesterday, okay, well, there won't be any power at church. Well, it's too hot to work at the church without any power, and I can't do anything. So I work from home today, which meant I got to go pick up Christopher at school, and I got to talk to his teacher. So the news with Christopher is because they're so short on bus drivers, and because some kids are medically fragile. Christopher is not medically fragile, but some of the kids that he rides the bus with are. So when kids are medically fragile, they're the first ones to go home, which makes, perfect sense. But we live 5 minutes from the school, and Christopher is riding the bus for over an hour to get home at night. And the superintendent in the video she sent out said to parents, we're really short on bus drivers, which is true everywhere. And if you can drop off or pick up your, child. So we decided Christopher has ridden the bus since he was 3.5 years old when he started preschool in DeKalb County when we lived there before. So he loves the bus. This is his last year. So we decided he would ride the bus in the morning except for Thursdays. I take him to school on Thursday. I've been doing that for the last several years because David has a Zoom Bible study at 8 o'clock. So, and Christopher has his whole routine for getting on the bus, and it can upset his whole day if I don't do it just right. I mean, it's not that difficult, but I'm usually more like trying to wake up. So 2 years ago, I decided, hey, forget this. We're just going to drive to school, and then he can say his prayer with me on the way, and we can talk a little bit. So I take him to school every Thursday. So otherwise, he rides the bus Monday through Friday, except for Thursdays. But so now we're trying to pick him up. So since I was home working today, and David was gone, I went and picked him up at school, which was really nice. And I got to see his teacher, one of his teachers, and talk to her. And that was great because we can't go in the building now. We haven't been able to go in the building. We went in one time last year for one of the kids in Christopher's class had their graduation, had a small graduation at the school, and Christopher was reading a poem at it, and we got to go to that. But like we used to always go in on Fridays. We pick him up on Fridays. If he's had a good week, we always pick him up on Fridays as a kind of a, you've had a good week, let's pick you up. And so anyway, sorry, that wasn't something I wanted to show up on the screen, so for a friend. But anyway, that kind of threw me off, sorry. So picking him up at school, yeah. So anyway, I've been doing a lot of work, a lot of reading, a lot of stuff, getting ready for evangelism or stewardship for the fall and everything like that, and phone calls and texts, sending a lot of texts and some emails for upcoming meetings. But anyway, so yeah, so from time to time I like to read from this book, and there's so much going on in the world. There's been so many natural disasters, and down south there's been a lot of natural disasters and so much going on. So I wanted to read one that talks about people working with natural disasters. It's actually the devotion from August 21st, and it's entitled, it's about love. It says, a yes of love, and from 1 John 3:18. Let us not love with words or speech, but with actions and in truth. I so love that. And the writer, Dave Brannon, writes this. On August 21st, 2016, my friend Carissa posted photos on social media of a devastating flood in Louisiana. Then next morning, she included a note from someone in the flooded area pleading for help. 5 hours after that, she and her husband, Bobby, sent out a call for others to join them on their 1,000-mile trip to provide help. Less than 24 hours later, 13 people were on their way to serve those whose homes had been severely damaged. What motivates people to drop everything and drive 17 hours to move appliances, do demolition work, and provide hope in a place they've never been before? It's love. Think about this verse, which she posted along with her call for help. Commit your way to the Lord, trust in Him, and He will do this. Psalm 37:5. This is especially true when we follow God's call to help. The Apostle John said, if anyone sees a brother or sister in need, but has no pity on them, how can the love of God be in that person? 1 John 3:17. It may be a daunting task, but we have God's promise of help when we do what pleases him. Verse 22. When a need arises, we can honor God by being willing to offer a yes of love to what we sense he is asking us to do for others. And the quote is, we show God's love when we are willing to help others. We show his strength when we take on the task he gives us to do. Well, there's different tasks that God gives us, puts in our path, moves our heart about, things that touch us. And there's right now, you could just pick so many things in your local area or in your state or in the country. Hey, good evening, Betty. Or overseas. I know several things that our local Lutheran organization that's reaching out to a lot of people, in Spiritus it's called, and their website is we W-E in Spirit. It all runs together, weinspirit.org. And I was looking at it today. They're doing a lot of work with the disaster responses in Tennessee. They're doing Afghan resettlements. So good evening, Phyllis. So some of the Afghans who have been brought out of Afghanistan, in Spiritus is going to be settling up to 25 families in Georgia, in Savannah and Atlanta area. They've already gotten several families in, and they're expecting a number more families. And so there's a number of ways to help there, and I hope to be able, I'll keep track of it. I hope to be able to share if there's any donations that we can give of items or any volunteer opportunities, because even if you can't volunteer, you may know somebody who wants to volunteer, and we can help spread the word and, spread that love. But if you go to weinspirit.org, you can see more of the work they're doing. There's several places on there to donate. Like I said, to the disasters with Tennessee. Our Synod is still providing help for the Noonan cleanup, which Noonan is very close to St. John and Griffin, who went through a terrible disaster this last spring. And they also have things they need, both funds and items to donate for the Afghan families that are coming. And about volunteering, they have opportunities to volunteer. So they have those things listed. And again, like I said, it may not be you, but it may be somebody in your family. It may be somebody you know who's willing to help with that. Also, I looked up Lutheran Disaster Response, which works through our whole country. I know the Methodist, Cheryl's Methodist, I know the Methodists have that disaster response. I know a lot of them work together. But if you want to know more about that, or you want to donate directly to that, you can go to elca.org and put in Lutheran Disaster Relief, and they'll bring up the information there. As a congregation, because we have emergency funds that I handle, and we really haven't had families coming and needing help, because there's been a lot of help in our community, like many other communities. There's a lot of help with rent and other things. We occasionally have somebody come by, but lately it just hasn't been that many. So on behalf of the congregation, I asked for money to be sent to Inspiritus for the work with the Afghans. I asked for money to be sent to the Synod for the Noonan work that's being done there. And now I'm forgetting, it was 2 weeks ago, boy. I asked for funds to be sent Inspiritus, the Synod. Oh, I think to disaster relief for some of the work being done in other areas in our country. Oh, well, yeah, for Louisiana. Yeah, that's what I asked for. I asked for Louisiana or Texas because, my gosh, those poor people, they have been hit so hard. And Cheryl can attest to this. When our families went through the flood of 1993, where we grew up from the Mississippi River, I got married that summer. During all of that, I got married in California at our seminary. And 2 weeks after we got married, my parents' house, the house I grew up in, was totally flooded. It was knee-high on the second floor. The water remained there for 6 weeks that high. All the crops were lost. The story I always tell is the phone rang at the house I grew up in, and they said, the levee has broke, which was like a quarter mile from our house. You need to get out now. And as my mom and brother were leaving, my brother remembered that his brand new car was parked down by the levee because he had been working. Because all the people in the area there would work the levees. They'd sandbag it. They'd patrol it at night to keep an eye on it, try to fill in breaks where there's, breaks in the water coming. And so my brother made it in time to go get his car and save that. That was something they were able to save. But I think one of the things that most impressed me, I got to, after Dave and I got married, we were gone. We were in Canada when the flood happened. We called home every day, and this was before anybody had cell phones, so they didn't exist at that point. It was a couple years before that. But we would find a payphone and call home every day. And so after we came back, we started an internship in Tucson, Arizona, at 2 different congregations while we were in seminary. But I asked to be able to go home for like 5 days to check on my family and to see what was going on and see it with my own eyes. And I got to go back a few months later. And, the thing that's always really touched me about all of that was the groups of people that came in from all kinds of different walks of life, both Christian groups. You had your usual Baptist and maybe Catholic in the area, but then I think there was Mennonites that came. There was groups that were not religious that came. And I mean, they helped everybody in the community. And they just, talk about a group that helps lift you up. And I think Laura has been on trips of working on disaster response. And I really have wanted to do that. I've done a lot of mission trips working, but I haven't done a disaster response trip. And it's really something I still would really, really like to go do, just to help in any way I can or be there to be of support to people. But it made a big difference for the community. It really helped them know that they were loved. I mean, it was really God coming in the form of all these people who didn't know any of our families, but who gave of their time and their energy to, really be there and help in a variety of ways. And, it took a long time to recover, and it was awful, and it was so hard on so many of the families. And there's been some really bad scares several times in the last decade or so, but thanking God that it hasn't flooded our community since 93. But there's been some areas where they've really had to watch at times. But it just really, to see faith active in love is really an amazing thing. And some of you who watch this, you're at an age you can't do that, and maybe you've done in the past, but we can pray for those areas. We can, if there's ways we can donate our time or energy or funds or donations. One of our local channels today, WSB, was having a collection for Louisiana, and they were taking stuff all over the area for that, so they could take down loads of stuff. And, it's just, to me, it always blows my mind. And there's so many ways we can show God's love, not just in disasters, although this one really reminds me of that and reminds me of what our families went through. But just how amazing God's love is, that the love we encounter through God is lived out and shared through us to other people, that we can be what I say. Somebody had said, I need God in the flesh, with a hug and with words. And that's what we are. We're ambassadors for Jesus. And we take that love and that understanding and that care, whether it's in our prayers or in our donations or in our energy, in our time, so if sometimes it's overwhelming and it just seems like it's too much. So pick a lane, pick an area. I mean, you can pray for all of them, and maybe you got $1. Oh, I got to tell this story. I gotta see if I can find this. So I'm off on Mondays. I was home. I was doing lots of laundry and other things, and I had on the noon news because I'd wanted to hear some of the news, and I wanted to hear the weather. And ABC comes on. They have a show now, noon to 1, things you need to know. Anyway, they had a guy on who's here in Georgia. I think he's in a rural area. I didn't hear where he is. And he started Dollar Thursdays. I just love this. Dollar Thursdays. So he knows people in his community. One person, a trailer caught on fire. And so he does this every Thursday. He does a video and he shares who needs help this week. And then he asks them to give $1. Just give $1. And then he makes sure that the money gets to those people to help them. So they showed he'd helped somebody that had a burnout of their mobile home, and he got $8,000. That's like 8,000 people. I mean, I'm sure some people gave more than $1, but it's the point. Hey, $1 may not seem like much to you, but you put $1 together, you can make a real difference for other people. And that's why we do the change bucket, because a quarter and a dime may not be much to you, but if we all bring our quarters and our dimes and our dollar bills together, we can make a real difference for different organizations and different people through that. So, but I just love that, Dollar Thursdays. And they showed a number of the groups he's helped, a number of people. And he says, I keep it local. These are people who don't have that kind of money. And he shared that, they were able, somebody had been in the hospital. They didn't have any money to pay on their bill or to live. And they were able to raise $1,800 to give them. And he said, that's a lot of money. And it is a lot of money. I mean, when you have bills you can't pay, you're extended on credit, or you don't have credit, or you have a car that needs $500 worth of repairs. I mean, I just think that was so neat. I just saw it the other day. I'm going to look for it. And if I can't figure out how to post it, I'll have Samuel help me post it, because I'd love for y'all to see it, because I just was so touched by it. I was like, this is how we live out our life. People who really give a crap, excuse my language, they care about other people, and they do something about it. They may not be able to do it themselves, but they can invite other people to be a part of that. And, we can all pray. We can all pray for those in need. So, and speaking of which, I do, like I said, I have a really big prayer list. So let's see. Prayers have been asked for Lily McVeigh, who has COVID. Lily she's I think just had a birthday. I think she just turned 12. She's actually doing really well. She's quarantined at home, but she's hanging in there and she's doing good. But just pray for her family that they don't get it, and that she has no more health issues. For Bill Tidwell, he's going to have an outpatient surgery next week. That's what he wanted me to share. Rebecca Durham asked for prayers for her aunt's boyfriend, Chris Martin, who also has COVID, and just pray that he will do well with that, and pray that her aunt, Rosemary, and her grandma, Jill, will not get COVID. Let's see. I'm just making sure about some of them I have. Hey, Paula. Some of them I just have them down, a couple personal requests for people who I know who need prayer. My friend Deb, who lives in Arizona, she is a retired Lutheran pastor. Her husband Ron is a veteran. He's been in the hospital, been very sick. But she was praising God today. He went from 40 liters of oxygen to 5. And he's headed to rehab at the VA there in the area. And so she just asked for prayers of his recovery, that he's done amazingly well. He's had all kinds of different health problems, and some may be age, but some may be for his having served. But we lift up Ron and ask for prayers for him. Sandra Harwood asked for prayers for her son Brian and his girlfriend Shai. The water main broke in the house that Shai owns, and the entire house was flooded. And I've asked Sandra if there's anything we can do. She just asked for prayers that the insurance will come through. The insurance seems to be playing games with them, and they're trying to get things figured out. And there's 5 children. Shai has 5 children, and Shai and Brian have a little baby together, and just praying, that they can get this straightened out and get the house taken care of. They're not able to stay in the house. They've been staying with Steve and Sandra, and the kids' school is an hour away from Steve and Sandra, so Shai is driving them back every day and then trying to get things worked out with the house, and then picking up the kids and coming back. So they're trying to just get things worked out. So if you would please keep them in your prayers. My friend Lisa from college is having health issues, and we just pray for clarity and a sense of peace as she makes some decisions about things she has to do for her health. We also pray for Pastor Nahali, who serves with my husband David. She is back in Africa, in Sierra Leone, the country she is from. Her father died sometime in the last month, and she had quite a difficult time getting back. There was a lot of issues with some problems with the airline that I won't go into, but needless to say, it was not good, and it was not her fault. And but she and her son made it to Sierra Leone. They had this funeral this past weekend. They actually had 3 days of service, and Pastor Nahali, her family asked her to preach on Sunday at the funeral. But she's over there for a couple more weeks, so we just pray for safety and health, and that they feel God's love and comfort in this time of grief. And then I mentioned earlier our friend Cheryl, my high school dear friend. Danita was our classmate, our friend. Danita has MS, and she's had a really tough time, and we don't know the status right now, but we know that she's not doing well. And her dad has asked for prayers for her, and Cheryl shared that with our high school group. We have our own high school group right now. Good evening, Aunt Carolyn. I'm so glad you're on here. So we asked for prayers for Danita, just for comfort, for peace, and just praying for God's will to be done for her life, and comfort for her family, and just to watch over all of them, because I know that this is a difficult time. We also asked for prayers for her brother Jeff, who has recently been diagnosed with some health issues, so we lift him up as well. That's it that I have for prayer requests tonight. If you have any prayer requests or any joys, I'm always happy to share those. Give thanks every day. Take at the end of your day, if you're not too tired before you go to sleep, think of the 3 things that you're most thankful for today. And if you think about it, write it down. Science shows that doing those kind of things gives us more joy and more resilience in being able to look and give thanks. And I have found in my life that when I take stock of my day, when I look at what's good, there are many days that I think, well, it's just a regular old day, but there's always something to be thankful for. And, every day is so precious. I mean, I know so many people. That's another person I'm going to add. So my dear friend, Tom Kinney, he's a retired pastor here in the Atlanta area. Tom is from Ireland. We were in a spiritual direction group for 5 years. He's a very, very dear person. And his lovely wife, Barbara. Tom was a Catholic priest, and he served in Miami, and he met Barbara, and he left the priesthood and got married. Didn't think he would be a pastor, and wound up becoming a Lutheran minister, and I believe served for well over 30 years, and served at Prince of Peace up in the, they've changed the name. It's not Peachtree Corners, but it's up north area, like Duluth, up that area. Anyway, Tom's retired now. Well, Barbara, about probably, it may even be a month now, I called Tom to see how he was doing, and he shared that one day he was home, and he had to go to a rehearsal for something. He helps out part-time at a congregation, and he volunteers as a chaplain at the hospital, and he also works with the mission, which works with homeless, I think men, I'm not sure about families in Atlanta. Anyway, his wife Barbara was sitting at the table, having a sandwich, watching a tennis match, and he gave her a kiss goodbye, and I think he told her he loved her, and he came home 2 hours later, and Barbara was laying on the floor. And he called his granddaughter, and she said, call 911, and he called 911, and they came. And while he was on the phone with them, they had him do CPR, and they had him check for a pulse, and she didn't have one. She had died in those 2 hours while he was gone. And so Tom really, there's been a lot of people reach out to him, but anybody who's lost a spouse or a parent knows, a spouse is different. I know that. So I'm not comparing, but anybody who's lost a close loved one knows what the grief is like, and especially when it's unexpected and it's so sudden and there's no saying goodbye. So if you would please lift up Tom and his daughter and his grandchildren in your prayers. I just pray that Tom feels God's love surround him each and every day, that he knows he's not alone, and that he can continue to be the great man he is and continue in the work, but that he also takes care of himself, because sometimes caregivers are the worst at taking care of themselves. So if you're a big caregiver, please do what you can to take care of yourself. Give yourself a break, give yourself some rest, some downtime, do something you enjoy, make sure you get your rest, because we're all guilty. Many of us are guilty of not taking good care of ourselves. So anyway, so please pray for my dear friend Tom. That's it for tonight. Right now, the plan is that tomorrow night we'll have Wednesday night worship outside at 6:30. We'll see how the weather goes. We're watching that, but Thursday night I'll be back on with live devotions. If we have worship tomorrow night, I will be there, just sharing a little bit. And we'll get to hear lots of beautiful music and sing. You can come in person, bring your lawn chair. We're outside, 6:30. And Thursday we'll be on live at 7 o'clock. And Friday we'll be here for Friday Night Fun. You won't remember this, but I will put it on Facebook and everything. So on Friday the 24th, we will not be doing Friday Night Fun because we get to go see Hamilton. David, Sam, and I are all going to see Hamilton. We have a good friend who's going to come and hang out with Christopher. And the three of us are going to go enjoy Hamilton. So we've had the tickets for well over a year, almost a year and a half. And we are looking forward to going. I've watched it on Disney Plus. I loved it. But we are really looking forward to it. So Anyway, but we'll be here this week, okay? So tomorrow night, 6:30, Thursday, 7, Friday, 7. If we get rained out tomorrow or things are looking bad, I will be sure to put a note up on our Facebook page and pin it to the top. Well, that's it for tonight. Thank you so much for joining me. I really, really do appreciate it. And I know a number of you watch this later, but I'm always grateful to have you join me. And I pray for you, and I pray that we all continue to open our hearts to others and continue to show God's love in a variety of different ways as God leads each one of us. And now, as we go upon our way, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. May the Lord look upon you with favor and give you peace. In the name of the Father, and the Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night. Cheryl, always good to have you on here. Everybody else do. Take care, Cheryl. I'm praying for you, too. Keep doing well. Good night.